Breaking. Bears fam. Chicago just put its hands on a lever it didn't want to touch today, and the entire path of this season could swing because of it. I'm coming to you straight from Hollis Hall Energy, where the win over New Orleans felt like a fist on the table, and the room still smells like victory and adrenaline. But there's a chill moving through the secondary that you need to hear about now. I'll walk you through what happened on the field and what it really means. I'll show you how the front office is thinking behind closed doors. I'll map the trade landscape and the price ranges that actually make sense. And I'll take you inside the schematic fit that could quietly change how this defense plays. Third down for the rest of the year. Stay with me, because the dots connect in a way that's going to surprise a lot of people in this city. The headline we all felt on Sunday is this: the defense bailed the offense out again with pressure and opportunism, flipping the game by hunting the ball and closing space with urgency. That tone matters because it's the backbone of what I'm about to tell you. Corner play is the fuse for that identity drive it, and the pass rush arrives half a step earlier. Lose it, and all the timing collapses. We've lived most of the season without our true CB1 after core muscle surgery put Jalen Johnson on an uncertain timetable, and that was already stretching the rotation thin. On Sunday, the group took another punch when Tyrique Stevenson exited with a shoulder issue and never made it back in. He's been trending up lately: cleaner eyes, cleaner hand usage, more trust in his leverage, but even before the injury he got caught in a couple of tough spots, and you could feel the staff trying to play matchups to protect the structure. That's normal in October attrition. What's not normal is how quickly the room went from "we can ride this out" to "we need a contingency that helps us win right now." That's why today is not just about an injury update. It's about a decision point that can define the next 2 months. Depth charts are honest. You can hear coaches say "next man up," and I respect the guys who stepped in. But if you're serious about January football, you don't ask a depleted outside corner group to carry week after week while you're building a turnover-driven identity. You go hunt for a solution with intention. This is where front office discipline meets urgency. Target a player whose cost is controlled, whose learning curve is short, and whose skill set plugs a very specific leak. That's not splashy. That's how winning teams operate when they smell a lane in the conference. Zoom out and look at the market. Every year, around early November, you see the same pattern. Sellers with leverage try to push for day 2 picks. Buyers try to anchor the conversation around next year's day 3 Capital Plus conditions. And the deals that actually get done are the ones where fit is obvious and the acquiring team doesn't need to rewrite its playbook to make the player useful by week 10. The Bears' checklist is simple and brutal. Experience outside and inside. Comfort and match coverages with split safety looks. Short area twitch to drive on outbreakers, willingness to tackle, and mental sturdiness to survive in a defense that's been living on sudden change snaps. If you're expecting a rental headline or a name that doesn't align with that list, you're reading the wrong show. There are veterans available, sure, but the money and the rear-view performance don't line up with what this specific locker room needs. The guy who does. He's been carrying a heavy snap load in Nashville. He's on a rookie deal that doesn't handcuff your books, and he's built to play the exact leverage honesty football this staff preaches. I'm talking about Roger McCreary, and yes, the window to pry him loose is real. Before I get into why, let's be clear about Tyrique. I'm not here to dramatize timelines or pretend to know medical specifics that aren't public. What I do know is how teams respond to uncertainty. And the move today is to assume you'll need a starting level outside corner for a stretch while you protect matchups and keep your disguises honest on money downs. When you live on takeaways, corners have to compete through the hands at the catch point without grabbing, and they have to tackle like safeties when offenses turn to quick gain to slow down your rush. That's McCreary's film in a sentence. Sticky at the top of routes, comfortable playing through contact, and brave finishing plays in space. He's been trained to survive both outside and in the nickel. He's seen all the condensed split tricks teams use on third and medium, and he doesn't blink when offenses force him into the alley. You give a player like that our language and a small menu to start, and he can log real snaps fast. Scheme fit matters. Our defense has leaned into a match-heavy world with split safeties that rotate late, which demands corners who don't panic when their initial leverage changes post-snap. McCreary's hips and eyes are calm. He doesn't overrun the dig. He doesn't chase ghosts on the double move. And when he loses half a step, he recovers with technique, not panic. That's what allows you to keep the disguise on the back end. It also lets your safeties cheat toward tendencies without leaving the boundary naked, which is how you keep the interceptions coming. If you've watched us over the past 4 weeks, you've seen how complementary football has grown. Takeaways feed field position. Field position feeds the run game. The run game protects the quarterback, and the cycle repeats. What kills that cycle is a corner who can be isolated and targeted on third down. McCreary cuts that vulnerability down simply by making quarterbacks hold the ball a beat longer or throw outside the strike zone. Now, let's talk price, because nothing happens without a deal that respects the board. The Titans situation makes them listen. That's not gossip. It's roster math. For us, the right conversation isn't a desperate overpay. It's a pragmatic package that reflects 1 year of team control with extension optionality. Think in the neighborhood of a 2026 fourth-round pick as the spine of a deal, with a 2027 late-round condition tied to playtime or a team result. That's not me trying to win the trade on paper. That's the kind of framework that fits our arc without burning the flexibility we'll want in the spring. Cap impact is straightforward. Acquiring a player on a rookie deal in October is one of the cleanest ways to reinforce a roster midstream. You're not forcing restructures. You're not eating dead money that chokes your winter. And you keep the extension decision in your hands once you've seen the fit live. From a locker room perspective, it sends a message I love. We reward effort with reinforcements, not excuses. And make no mistake, the room feels that. Here's where the football gets nerdy in the best way. Add McCreary, and you can keep your coverage menu flexible while protecting matchups. On 3rd and 5 to 3rd and 8, where offenses are living on quickouts, pivots, and choice routes, you regain the confidence to play tighter leverage and roll help where you want it. Your nickel doesn't have to cheat as hard in the hot routes. Your safeties can bait the seam a little longer, and your rush can aim at 5-step timing instead of chasing 3-step rhythm throws all afternoon. Even in the red zone, where spacing compresses and every false step is magnified, a corner who competes through the hands with discipline changes the math. You don't need him to be a superhero. You need him to make quarterbacks second-guess their first option. And that's been the story of our winning streak. Second guesses turning into bad decisions, turning into takeaways. I know some of you will ask why not roll with internal answers and trust coaching. I respect that argument, and I'll never dismiss the work our depth guys put in. But winning windows don't wait for perfect health. And in a year where the conference looks open behind the top line, edges matter. A low-cost, high-snap addition who understands leverage and finishes plays is exactly the kind of edge-smart teams find in October. This is not panic. It's precision. If and I'm choosing that word deliberately, the front office lands on a price that stays in that mid-round band I move. If the ask creeps into premium capital, you hold your line and bet on your room. That's the calculus. Let me say one more thing about Tyreek, because I'm not writing him off for a second. His last month showed real growth in patience and trust, and that matters for the long haul. The point of a move now isn't to replace his future. It's to stabilize the present so he comes back into a room that's still rolling and a defense that hasn't had to shred its identity to plug a hole. Depth wins in this league. The right addition at the right time preserves everyone's role and keeps the standard where it belongs. So here's where I land after watching the tape and listening to how the building is buzzing. Tonight, with the deadline approaching and the secondary nicked up, the cleanest, most logical target on the market for Chicago is Roger McCreary. He checks the tape boxes. He checks the cost boxes. And he lets this defense keep being itself while we wait for health to normalize. If the compensation stays reasonable, I make that call and I don't look back. Tell me your read. Bears fans, how do you value a plug-and-play corner versus rolling the dice on internal development while we're stacking wins? Do you pay a fourth in a small condition to stabilize the back end right now? Or do you hold and trust the room? Drop your take below, because I want the temperature from this community in the hours that matter. My concise read: Stevenson's shoulder pushes cornerback from want to need, and McCreary's fit gives Chicago a pathway to maintain its turnover-driven identity without warping the scheme or the cap. If a fair mid-round framework is on the table, it's smart, it's sustainable, and it signals to the locker room that momentum will be protected. If you're with me, lock in here, like, subscribe, and keep your alerts on, because when this story moves, I'll be back with the next step and the on-field implications for Baltimore and Cincinnati week plans.